Well, hey there. Good afternoon. Happy Monday, everyone. Get a little bit later start than usual to my weekly vlog. Took advantage of, the ability of working from home where I get to decide my own hours to take some time to recover from a long weekend and sleep in a little bit and take a bit later start on things today. So this is vlog number 6, I believe now. Vlog number 6. And I'm still trying to come up with a basic format for how I want to run these sorts of things. I mean, I've never tried to become a YouTube content creator before or do any sort of video series. So this is very much a learn as I go sort of process. So last couple vlogs I did had these sort of very broad philosophical sort of lessons that I drew out of, whatever I was dealing with the previous week. But I mean, a lot of those things I talked about are also so ubiquitous that they show up already in pretty much every work day and week that if I were to keep doing videos with that sort of format, it would continue to get kind of repetitive. So thinking going forward, probably going to focus more specifically on what specific kind of work I'm working on in a particular given week. So yeah, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today. So mainly just talking about the gigs that I've been working on as of late. So biggest thing is that I had another audiobook. I know I mentioned a couple videos before that I was going to take a break from audiobooks. I was tired. I was done with audiobooks. But then, people come to me with offers to do their audiobooks. And I'm like, well, shoot, I mean, that's a job, that's money right there that I didn't have to go out looking for, that I didn't have to audition for, that's being presented to me. So, and I'm in a position where I'm pretty much inclined to take that kind of work every time. So I did another audiobook. And this one ended up being the longest one that I have done so far. It ended up being a bit over 3 hours of total audio. The transcript I got was about 100 PDF pages, like 8.5 by 11 printer sheets of paper full of information to read off. So yeah, that took a while. Spent a good 2-ish days just editing it after I'd recorded everything and stuff. And one thing I'm really realizing is that more than any other type of voiceover project, like a good long audiobook feels more like finishing up a term paper at the end of a semester more than any other voiceover project that I do. So, and that's just kind of what it is. I mean, especially once you get done with the recording process and you're just going back through, listening to yourself talk for hours at a time, cutting out odd breaths or pops and clicks, or listening to times where you spoke too quickly or fudged over a word and then have to, hop back into the studio, get recorded again, cut out the part and do all that. It takes a lot of time. It's good work, but it takes a lot of time. And once again, hopefully after this audiobook is over, once again going to try and take a break, focus more on marketing, on building my business in different ways. But once again, if this guy who've done 2 other books for before comes back with more work, I'm going to have a hard time saying no. But yeah, that's not the only thing I've been working on. Had a couple other gigs come up this week. So I landed a character. These were mainly character voice work. So that's always fun. I really enjoy character work, especially when it's an original character that I get to, really sort of invent from the ground up, and I'm not just trying to mimic an established character's voice. So yeah, there was a new indie mobile game that's in production right now. Very early stages, still in I think they still have to set up a Kickstarter page to start building the funds and building awareness about it. But I got a role for that. I'm going to be one of the bosses in that game. And I also landed another gig. Found out I got the audition just last night. And this is actually the single highest paying gig that I've gotten so far since I started working full time, or really ever. Like the single highest paying voiceover gig that I've ever gotten. And I mean, that was really just a blessing for me. So there was some guy who he makes like YouTube videos for himself. I think he doesn't have a huge channel. I think he just really has a story on his heart and wants to, produce a good video, produce it well. And then, he was willing to pay, some of the extra bucks to attract a greater swath of voiceover people to come in and try out for his work. So that for me was a real blessing to be able to have that. I mean, like most new people who start up a business in the early stages, you're not making a whole lot of income in the first those first couple months, or even in some industries, like, first maybe year or two, you're not making a whole lot of money. So to be able to have that and having, such a gig was really set me up pretty well for, the near future for a little bit, and gave me a little more time to kind of breathe, not worry about so much about just, making money to get by, and maybe spend a little more time just, thinking broadly, thinking about how I want to evolve my business, different marketing stuff that I want to do and sites that I want to try out. So yeah, so that's all good. And then another sort of just general lesson that, I talk about these philosophical things. I'm kind of a philosophical guy, so I like, going back and gleaming all these life lessons from the stuff that I deal with on day to day. And one of the lessons I keep coming back to, and once again, true in life, true in work, is coming back and humbling thyself. Just, being very humble about your capabilities, humble about the work that you do, never being bigger than the job that you're doing. Never feel like you are too good for a job that you have been hired to do or have volunteered to do, especially if you volunteered to do it. I mean, and I have this tendency, and I'm sure most people have the same thing to some degree, is I tend to get frustrated when I'm dealing with people who seem, in any sort of way, like either less professional or less knowledgeable than me, or like, I'm trying to do something and maybe I'm on a certain wavelength and they're on a different wavelength, and just things just aren't clicking for whatever reason. I can kind of, get very kind of on my high horse and get up in my head a little bit about that if I'm not, mindful about my thoughts. And I mean, the more I deal with that, and that's, just a life struggle, something that I'm probably going to have to, be mindful of for the rest of my life. And yeah, just being mindful about that is important, because I understand that I've been there enough to realize what a mind trap that can be to fall into when you just really get wrapped up in that sort of idea of that sort of holier than thou mentality. And I mean, even if there is an inkling of truth in maybe, maybe you're more professional than the clients you're dealing with. I mean, anybody who's worked in the service industry can probably have plenty of stories about, dealing with unruly customers and people who are just a pain in the butt to deal with. And I mean, I think that's everybody's dealt with that to some degree, but just not letting that get to your head, not letting that bother you, not letting that frustrate you, get you worked up, and and put you in a place where you start thinking that maybe you're better off than, or know stuff that other people don't. So yeah, I mean, that's certainly something that I am dealing with. And I mean, like with this audiobook that I was working on, I mean, a lot of the stuff I do, especially the editing part, is a very menial kind of work. I mean, you're just going through, listening to hours of audio, going out, cutting out pops and clicks and stuff. I mean, it's not the most sexy thing that you can do in the voiceover industry, but it's a job. It's a good job. It challenges me. It forces me to be better at producing good products. Learning both how to narrate better as well as how to use my audio editing software more efficiently. And I mean, really at this stage, really at any stage, I'm happy to get, any work that I can. And that's just, any work that I get at this point is just more reassurance about the decision that I made, coming up on 7 months ago, to quit my old full-time job and branch off and try to do this stuff full-time. So things are going well. I think we're on a good track, learning every step of the way, and excited to see what the future has to bring. So yeah, I got a couple more projects to work on this week, and hopefully a little more time to spend some time looking at other websites, doing some marketing, and plotting out the next course. All right, that's about all I got for today. Thanks, folks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, and God bless.